They just missed
They
it.
gave it to the right person.
Yeah.
Jesse, where you making a collection of this stuff? What's in that thing?
It's made for you put alcohol in it, and it's like a decanter, a classless decanter. Someone was giving it away. I thought it'd be funny to have.
If Jesse was rich, he'd be eccentric, but he doesn't have enough money to be eccentric.
Nope.
I hear. I didn't look into that baseball bat thing. I gotta look into that baseball bat thing.
Oh, hit and run?
Whatever it was.
Yeah, so I got emails back from the CRC, the OU, and the Star K, and they all said it's fine because it's a Stam rum. It's not like a sherry cask or spiced. So they said as long as it's a plain rum, it does not require a hechsher. All three of them said that.
I hear. Okay, so now is it? You're good to go.
So then I went and bought it the next day.
Since when do you drink rum?
I bought it for the bottle. I don't even have to total it because
He's a man of varied interests,
There's some rum I
He's
like.
just not scotch and cigars, you know what I mean? He has a lot of interests.
Listen, Raban, I'm more like you. I buy my bottles to drink. I don't buy them just to look at a glass.
It's rum alcohol goyim.
Oh, very good. Very good.
I'm sure at some point this bottle will be refilled with bourbon.
Can't do that.
Of course I can.
Not put bourbon in a rum bottle.
Yeah, okay. When you start bringing bourbon to yeshiva more than 4 times a year instead of me, that brings it 52 times a year. We'll talk about what goes in what bottle.
Whoa.
Getting a little sensitive about the schnapps there.
Very sensitive subject.
Amazing.
I think I went.
Stop, and everyone came running.
I think I have diving in the Stein menu.
That's right.
Amazing.
There's no alcohol, but there's special brownies, as we discussed.
Okay, we ready to roll? All right.
You didn't even hear that. All right.
I heard that. I heard it. I didn't think it was funny. I don't know why. What happened?
He hears everything. He doesn't respond to most.
No offense, but I think brownies might be better. But we might save that for Shavuos night. So let's hold off, right?
Right.
Okay, so we're on the top of Zayin Amud Aleph. I appreciate everybody tuning in a little early. I'm outside my nephew's Vart in Lakewood. Yes, so.
You get an easy pass that goes.
Mazel tov.
You've been there so often.
Oh, Yuri Gross, welcome back. Okay, fine. So, yeah, ready? Omer, so it's just to chazer over what we've been learning. So we have tumor hutra b'tzibur, right? So that means when there's korban seed.
You're muted again.
Peretz, what are you doing?
I lost him. Yeah, okay.
No, hello, I'm Peretz. Where is he?
Yeah, my bad. I'm sorry, Tiak. I was trying to mute somebody whose phone was ringing in the background, and I'm on my cell phone. So,
all right.
If everybody can mute themselves, it would be a lot easier.
There you go. All right, thank you. Okay. So again, we're Tumah Hutra B'tzibur, right? So that's what we're discussing. That when the tzibur or something's tamei, so even though normally you can't bring a korban when you're tamei, but when the tzibur is tamei, like we learn in Pesachim, then you're allowed to bring the korban. Not only you're allowed to, you're mechuyev to, right? So we said that why is Yom Kippur a korban tzibur? It's a private korban from the kohen gadol. So any korban that has a time requirement that has to be brought at a specific time, that's called tzibur, and you have to bring it. And also the kohen gadol is bringing his korban on behalf of Klal Yisrael. So therefore, even though it's really a private korban, it's considered a korban of the tzibur, and therefore if he would become tamei, so then we'd be daichet. So the only question is now the Gemara is having machlokes is is tumah hutra b'tzibur, meaning is it just mutter, in which case you don't have to look for ways to be makel. You just, it's mutter, and that's it. Or do we say it's dichuya, which is that it's, we push it off, but we have to try and find every way possible to get out of it if we can. So we said that's a machlokes, R Sheishes and Rav Nachman. So now on the second line down, R Sheishes, they're going to go back and forth with kashas on each other. So I'm R Sheishes. How do I know that tumah is dichuya? R Sheishes has said dichuya. The Tanya ha'aymer u'makrav minchas ha'aymer. If a kohen is about to be makrav the minchas ha'aymer v'nitmeis b'yodei, and it became temei. So now what should he do? So Omer u'meviyin acheres tachteh. He goes and tells his friends that it became temei, and then they bring another korban. But let's say there's no other barley, right? Korban Omer is barley. So what happens if the barley became temei? So he tells his friends, get the it's temei, get me more barley. Let's say there's no more barley. So Omer and Loi, we tell him, be smart about it, and be quiet. Don't let anybody know, which is an interesting thing. Like let's just first do the Gemara, right? And he's saying, don't tell anybody. You're not going to be able to fix the problem anyway. So why bother telling everybody, right? And then because then people are going to mistake it, they're not going to understand, et cetera, et cetera. So just keep it quiet. Meaning, if you could do something about it, so then tell everybody. If you can't do anything about it, so then just keep it quiet. So there's a lot to learn from that. Like, there's no reason to shoot your mouth off, and not everybody doesn't have to know every situation if there's nothing they could do about it anyways. Right? That gets into, and this is in Yonah de Yoma, and I don't want to go down this road. Avada Kashrus has an issue with the restaurant, right? Should they publicize it? Should they not publicize it? So can the Olam do anything about it if they publicize it? Maybe yeah, maybe no. If not, and they're stuck for whatever reason, then what's the point in telling everybody? That's what some say. Others say, no, you need to be transparent, right? If the transparency people would not be happy with this Gemara, I don't think.
Well, that's
right.
That's that's their whole defense. That their job is to disseminate the what they should be doing. No,
that's true. That's true. But here too, you think if Klal Yisrael finds out that their korban Omer was brought betumah, you don't think people are going to be unhappy? Why don't you tell us that our korban was brought betumah? Say, well, there's nothing we can do about it anyway, so why tell you? I imagine a lot of people would be very unhappy with that. Whether rightfully so or not, I don't know. But it's interesting. It says if you're a pikeach, you keep your mouth shut. Right? That's a very strong terminology.
Maybe they may also learn that you could be makel on certain things if they see that so it's Tuma. Okay, so we could do whatever we want also.
That's true.
Is that a cheshbon?
Yeah, I think that is a cheshbon. But whenever you put too much knowledge in anybody's
it could be used hands, for the wrong
right. But then the problem is that then some people say you should be transparent about it, and some say you shouldn't be transparent about it.
The minhag of doctors, is to bury their mistakes.
Very good. Yeah, doctor.
What they don't know won't hurt them.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, what do you see from this whole Gemara? Katani mias. You go and you try and bring other barley, right? So if Tumas hutra b'tzibur, so this is a korban tzibur, right? The Omer is for the tzibur. It became temei. If it's hutra, who cares? It's mutter. It's gesund, right? You don't need to. Why would you have to go get new barley? It's temei. It's hutra. Finished. This that you have to try and get new barley, that tells you that it's dichuya. It's just pushed off. It's not totally mutter, right? You have to try and do whatever you can to not have it, right?
What does b'tzibur mean?
What do you mean? A korban, the Omer is a korban that's brought at a specific time for the tzibur.
Usually that means when the tzibur is temei. Here the korban is temei.
Correct. No, but any tumah, that's what we're learning with Yom Kippur too. The kohen gadol became temei. Right? The kohen gadol became
this case
temei.
that we're talking about is when the kohenim are temei?
No, it's either one. It's either one. It's any sort of tumah. It's going to become mutter. So, but you see from here, it's the same thing with using the mashal with the Hatzalah guy. Is the Hatzalah guy, it's hutra or dichuya? right? Meaning, does he? It's I'm on a call. I could do anything, or do we say no? You can't do anything. You have to try your best not to, right? So that's
if we're comparing it to Shim Chav Ches, then we hold Lamaisa. The Shulchan Aruch holds dichuya, right? The Rambam holds Zutra. The Shulchan Aruch holds dichuya.
Yeah, what are you talking about? In Shabbos or in korbanos?
Yeah, Shabbos. In Shabbos.
Yet
we still say, but we pass in dichuya, but we still say that as many people as think are necessary should go. We don't say only one person for the tree, right?
Yeah, but that's only when it's mamish pikuach. When you're in the pikuach nefesh, then everything goes. We're talking about where you're not in the mamish pikuach nefesh. Yeah. Anyway, so that's the kasha. So you see clearly from here, not the kasha. That's R Sheishes proof. So you see that it's dichuya, and you have to try and get around bringing the korban b'tumah. So Rav Nachman by Dina hechad ika shirayim la'achila. No, Rav Nachman says, what I'm going to do with this? He says, Maida, where there's leftover from the korban that's going to be eaten, you can't eat a korban b'tumah. So here, the korban Omer is going to be eaten. So we are going to try our best not to have the leftovers become temei. So that's why we're going to try our hardest and bring other barley. But other than that, you would not have to bring more barley. Fine. Now the Gemara is going to ask three kashas on Rav Nachman. If they were bringing the mincha, right? We learned that anytime you bring a korban, you need to bring a korban mincha of flour along with it. So if he brings a korban mincha of parim, elim and kvasim, v'nitmeis biyadai, and it became tamei, Omer umivian acheres tachteh. So what he does is the same Gemara. He tells his friends, and he brings another korban. V'im ein sham elahi. But if there's no other animal available, we tell him be smart, v'shtaik, and be quiet, and just bring the korban. My la parim elam kvasim dechag. Is it not talking about the parim kvasim and elam of Yom Tif, which is a korban tzibur? And we're telling him to try and get other animals. So again, it's pushed off. It doesn't mean that if something from the tzibur becomes temei, it's just eliminated. So again, Amalach Rav Nachman, it's not talking about the parim of the Yom Tif. Parim par avodah zarah. Parim is talking about a par for avodah zarah, where all the yidden, the Sanhedrin made a psak incorrectly, and everybody did avodah zarah. So therefore, that's what we're talking about. So it's a korban tzibur. Afagav the tzibur who, but even though it's the tzibur, even the like kviya leizman, since it doesn't have a set time, madrinan, we look to try and get out of it. So even though it's a korban tzibur, but it doesn't have a set time, right? The korban of avodah zarah, if everybody in Klal Yisrael has to bring the korban of avodah, it's not exact. There's no specific time you have to bring it. Everybody they have to do tshuva, so they have to bring it. That's like when a Sefer Torah falls on the floor, right? So you have to fast. The tzibur has to fast. Where that comes from, a different story. But Lamaisa, when do they fast? They push it off till the winter, right? They push it off until the winter. So that's so it's the same thing. You push it off, or meaning there's no set time. That's for parim. Elim, be'elu shal Aaron. It's talking about the kohen gadol, the aisle that he brings on Yom Kippur. The avagav the kfila is man. Even though that has a set time, but even the yachid, that's Aaron's private. That's not for the tzibur. That's the kohen gadol's private one, madrina. So we look to try and make sure that it's a kosher kvasim. And what about the lambs? The keves haba ima omer. That's talking about the keves that comes together with the korban omer. The ika shirayim la'achila, where there's leftover for achila. So like we said in the first teretz, where there's leftover meat, where it's going to be eaten. So then, of course, we try and do everything we can that the people will be able to eat it. Again, if it's temei, the korban works, but the olam can't eat it, right? But so since they have to eat, we're going to try our best to make it that they could eat. So we're going to look for other korbanos. But other than that, once it becomes mutter, it becomes mutter. Meisvei, a third kasha, damshin itma, you have blood that became temei. And so once the blood becomes temei, you're not allowed to sprinkle it onto the mizbeach. But let's say they did. If they did it by mistake, then it's hurtza, it's accepted. But if you did the blood on purpose, then it's not hurtza. So why not? Why isn't it hurtza? It's tuma of a tzibur, of a korban tzibur. So the Gemara answers a pasha de teretz. Kitanya he be yachid. No, that's not about a korban yachid. I'm not exactly sure what the hava mean of the Gemara was here. It says that if the blood became tamei, you sprinkle on a mizbeach, b'shaygig, it's okay, but mezid, it's not okay. Oh, tumah hudra b'tzibur. Okay, so it's not a, that's what it's saying. It's not a, the teretz is not a korban tzibur. Right? Okay, what was the havamina that it was a korban tzibur? I don't know. Okay, toshima, alma tzitz meratzen. So we know we had this before, but korbanos that become puzzle, the tzitz, which is what the kohen gadol wore on his head, that was mechaper for the korbanos. So that's now if it's a korban sibur that became tamei or puzzle, what do you need the tzitz for? Right? Tumah hutra b'tzibur. So that's what the next the rest of the Amud is going to be on the Amud base. So Amad tzitz meratza al hadam v'al basar v'al achelav shenitma. It's meratza on blood that became tamei and basar that became tamei and fats that became tamei. Bein b'shagi bein mezid, whether it's shagi, whether it's mezid, bein ba'aynis, bein b'ratza. Whether it's on purpose, whether it's when he did it willingly. Bein b'yachid, bein b'tzibur, whether it's a korban yachid, korban tzibur. It's now has the main thing. It says b'tzibur. That you need the tzitz that to make it accepted, even if it's a korban tzibur. V'isag tumas heter he b'tzibur. It's a heter lama lila ritzuya. What do you need the tzitz for? It's tumah hutra b'tzibur. Why are you saying that that tumah from the tzibur, the tzitz is going to be meratza? If what do you need the tzitz for? Tumah hutra b'tzibur. So if you say it's dichuya, so you say, okay, we'd rather have the tzitz do it than stam to allow it. But if it's not, so what do you have? It's also Amar Rav Nachman's going to answer Kikatani hatzitz meratza ad yachid. No, the tzitz is meratza. That's only going on the yachid. It's not going on the tzibur. On the tzibur you don't need it. The korban tzibur is going to be fine.
So what is the Bryce is saying with bein b'tzibur? What do those words bein b'tzibur mean?
It's not going on the tzitz.
That's the whole Bryce is talking about the tzitz.
Well, I know, but it's only going on the yachid.
Those words bein b'tzibur are just extra.
Yeah,
he takes them out.
That's what I don't know if he takes it out.
It's the opposite of a chisuri mechsra. You got to cut it out.
Okay, sort of. Yeah. Yeah. Viba same or another teretz. Afilu tema b'tzibur. You could even say it's something about a tzibur. Bahanoch the like man. It's only talking about korban tziburs that don't have a set time. So since they don't have a set time, it's not a problem. Okay, so Meisvei. Now the Gemara is going to ask on Rav Sheishes. Again, Rav Sheishes holds it's dichuya, it's pushed off, it's not hutra. So Meisvei, they ask the kasha, v'nasa Aaron is avayin hakodshim. Right, hakadoshin. So Aaron literally means Aaron is carrying the avayin of the kadoshim, meaning if something is puzzle, then Aaron, meaning the tzitz of Aaron HaKohen, is going to make sure that it's going to take the korban from being puzzle to being kosher. So which aver is he carrying? If it's the avayin of pigel, harei kvar nemer lo yiratze. It says it's not going to be accepted. Right? And if it's the avayin of noiser, now what does noiser mean? Noiser means leftover. You can't, noiser means the korban is brought kosher, right? And it's just leftover. It can't mean that we're trying to make the korban kosher here by noiser. What it means is the guy thinks to leave it over, right? It's like similar to pigel, right? It's not going to be kosher. So what's it referring to? It must be that the tzitz is being meratza, tumah that's mutter from its klal from the tzibur. Kasha Rav Sheishes, and it's a kasha on Rav Sheishes, because you see you need the tzitz for the tzitz to be meratza the korban. What do you need it for? The korban tzibur is perfectly mutter. So the answer is no. This is a tanoi. This whole din, this machlokes of whether tumah is hutra b'tzibur or dichuya b'tzibur is a machlokes tanaim. The Tanya tzitz bein sheyeshnei al metzchay bein she'enoi al metzchay meratza. The tzitz, whether it's on the kohen's head or it's not on the kohen's head, it helps. Divrei Reb Shimon, meaning so according to Reb Shimon, at least what the Gemara is thinking now. Let's say the kohen is on vacation, right? As long as the tzitz is around, it could be hanging in the closet. It's gonna be meratza. It's gonna make all the korbanos that are possible become kosher. That's Shitas Reb Shimon.
So he's saying it works 24/7, Shimon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. It's open 24/7. The tzitz. It does not have to be on the kohen's head. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Ideo al mitzcha meratza. Only when it's on his forehead is it meratza. Ein ideo al mitzcha ein meratza. But if it's not on his forehead, then it's not meratza. So Omer like Rav
Shabbos, he
Shimon.
also wore the tzitz?
Sure.
I think so, but who was bringing
Right,
korbanos?
because tzitz, don't we say like, that it represents like the tefilin or something?
No, he wore
So the
tefillin
tefillin
also.
represent the tzitz? He
wore
wore tefillin
so
also
we'll
on
get to that in-
Shabbos? Not on Shabbos.
No.
Well, it's the equivalent of the tzitz. We'll see that it's going to talk about the tefillin on the bottom of it.
Reb Dov, he always wore shmona begodim. That's it. He can't do anything without shmona begodim.
Okay. That's I'm asking because I just thought maybe he's shot. Okay.
Yeah. So let's see. So Amar le Reb Shimon, kohen gadol b'yom kippurim yachiach. Reb Shimon is going to say the kohen gadol Yom Kippur is going to prove it, right? On Yom Kippur, the kohen gadol definitely didn't wear it, right? Not lifnai v'lifnim. He had to take off the gold. He had to wear white. So he was not wearing the tzitz when he went into the kodesh hakadoshim. She'ein adeo al mitzvah. It was not on his forehead. Umeratze, and the korban worked, right? So you see that the tzitz does not have to be on kohen gadol said. So
Well,
Amar le Reb Yehuda.
What does that mean? It was Maratza on Yom Kippur. How did they have pigel on Yom Kippur of all days?
No, but you
not
see that
pigel,
it
but
works.
whatever
You
else.
see that it works.
It works on what? There's no other korbanos. There's only the korbanos tzibur that the kohen gadol brings. He does all the avodah. Well, what happened there that it should be Maratza on?
No, but let's say it was
has to
tamei.
be Meratza on the same time. It
No,
could
but
have been
let's
some
no,
other-
but no. Let's say he was tamei on Yom Kippur, or the korban was tamei. So it's going to work.
They took care of the korbanos for the 7 days before. Also, they were there.
Right.
The likelihood of tumah is kind of low.
That's true.
And his
That's true,
tumah
but-
was impossible, pretty much.
Yeah, but
so-
that's right. But that's what we're
You're not-
handling it. This whole sugi is that for some reason the
No,
kohen-
I understand that. I'm just saying that we, in order to say this, we would have to know that there was such a case where there was tumah. Otherwise, just there was no tumah. Finished. What do you mean? What's the kasha? There's no raya from here. There was never any tumah. You kept her finished. Do we know the case where there was?
I don't know.
If
I
there
don't know.
would be, that's all. It's Meratza.
No, so I'll tell you it's not. Maybe not.
Well, he's saying here that it is 24/7. You just said it.
One
Even though
second.
it's-
The only problem is that he's not wearing it when he goes into Lifnai V'Lifnim on Yom Kippur.
Right.
Nothing
Because
is going
not
on in
yet.
Mizbeach at that time.
So
At
it
that
doesn't
particular
mean that
moment in
that
time,
minute-
nothing's happening.
Okay.
No, but let's
The
say
rest
it's
of the time he
tamei.
has it on. He's wearing it.
No, but good. But when he goes inside there, that's when all the avodas of the sprinkling and the blood and all that. That's when that's going on.
The keteris is burning at that time.
Right.
If the
Yeah.
Keteris is tummy,
The keteris is certainly burning at that time. Yeah.
And the dam from the chatos and the aisle.
it's really before he went back out. Yeah.
Well, that's a whole shot. You're asking a good thing, Gershon,
Yeah.
because the Maisa animals can't become tummy, right? Animals
Right.
can't become tummy. So when exactly did this tumah happen that the tzitz is meratza?
On Yom Kippur, in the Beis Hamikdash, it became tummy, and what? I don't understand the kasha here.
He became tummy. No, the kohen became tummy.
Why can't you understand, Gershon? A day
Because
of
unless
the-
you know that it happened, what's the kasha? It didn't happen. There's no kasha here. It never happened.
Then you could take out
But it
30
could.
blot of every Masechta in shots because they didn't happen. What are you asking?
What are you talking about?
No, he's saying
The kasha, it's a kasha. The Brisa says that the tzitz is meratza. Either Shimon says even when it's not on his head. But the Gemara, from one particular moment in time when he's not wearing the tzitz, and what? We know that it happened?
Yeah,
It didn't happen at that particular time.
in the year 46, a dead bat fell out of the sky and landed on the dam. Yeah, look it up.
Okay, the Gemara doesn't say it.
Duvi Shmuel is not on the share tonight. He would look it up.
okay, I'm not sure. But okay, but it must be in that rare case. Yeah, that's it is going to be meratza. Again, so Rav Shimon, Amar le Rav Shimon, kohen gadol b'yom kippurim yechiach. The kohen gadol on Yom Kippur proves it. She'ein ideo mitzvah meratza. It's not on his forehead, and it's meratza. So Amar le Rav Yehuda, hanach lekohen gadol b'yom kippurim shetuma hutru le b'tzibur. Right? It's tuma hutru b'tzibur. You don't need the tzitz for that. Whatever you did is you see from this Mechlal the Reb Shimon Savar Tumah dichuya b'tzibur. So you see that Reb Yehuda holds it's Tumah Hutra, and Reb Shimon holds it's Tumah dichuya. Right? So you see it's a Machlokes Tanaaim, which now they get into a fascinating thing. So we had a kasha on R Sheishes, and what's the teretz? It's a Machlokes Tanaaim. Right, so now every time you have according to this, every time you have a machlokes, Amirayim, if there's a machlokes Tanaaim, so you don't have to look for terutzim. We just say it's a machlokes Tanaaim. Right? A lot of times the Gemara chooses not to do that. Here the Gemara is doing that, saying it's a machlokes Tanaaim, so it's a machlokes Amirayim, the same machlokes as it is with the Tanaaim. Yeah, fine. So let's see. So Amar Abaya. Now we discussed the tzitz. Amar Abaya, but nishbar hatzitz. When the tzitz gets broken for whatever reason, everybody holds a broken tzitz is not going to help the korbanos. Ki pligi the tali besichsa. Where's the machlokes? When it's hanging on a nail, when it's hanging in his closet. Review the savar al metzach v'nasa. It says in the pasuk al metzach v'nasa. It has to be on his head, right? And then nasa it carries the korbanos, meaning it makes the korbanos be accepted. Reb Shimon Savar Tamid l'ratzon l'fnei Hashem. It's always in l'ratzon l'fnei Hashem. My Tamid. What does it mean? It's always or constantly. Ilam Tamid al mitzvah. If you say that it means constantly on his head, mi mishkachas la. Is it possible? Miloi boy me'el lebesa kisei. How could it constantly be meratza? Doesn't he have to go to the bathroom? Umiloi boy meinam. Doesn't he have to sleep? And he can't wear the tzitz when he sleeps. Ela Tamid meratza must be that it's constantly meratza, whether he's wearing it or not. Makes no difference. So that's the machlok. That's what the machlokes is based on. So I'm going to ask, Rabbi Yehuda Nami, according to Rabbi Yehuda, ksif tamid, right? It says tamid. Rabbi Yehuda says it says metzach v'nasa, but Rabbi Yehuda says it says tamid. What does he do with that? Ahu tamid shelo yasiach daitim imenu. What that says tamid is that the kohen cannot be masiach das from the tzitz. How? A person has to feel his tefilin at every hour. It's a kavachimer from tzitz. So that what the word tamid is coming to teach, according to Rabbi Yehuda, is that he has to constantly know that he has the tzitz on. That's what we know from tefillin also. So the Gemara asks, I'm sorry, it doesn't ask. Meaning, how do you know that it's a kosher? I stopped early. How do you know it's a kosher? Tzitz that only has Hashem, one name of Hashem on it. It says Kodesh Lashem, right? Amra Torah mitzvah tamid. It should be on his forehead constantly. Shelo yasich daitim, and he can't forget that he has the tzitz on his head. Tefilin, sheyesh ben askaras harbe with tefilin that has many times, many mentions of Hashem's name. Alachas kama kama. Then of course you have to constantly be aware of it, right? So that's what we're learning out from the tzitz and the tefillin. So when I asked Reb Shimon the Omer Tamid Meratza, Reb Shimon says Tamid Meratza. V'ksiv al metzchay. What does he do? Al metzchay v'nasa, that it has to be on his forehead. He says doesn't have to be on his forehead. What do you do with the pasuk that sounds like al metzchay v'nasa? So we say ahu l'kvaya le'makam hudasa. No, that's telling you that it should be on his forehead. Otherwise, maybe the tzitz goes on his hand. How do you know the tzitz goes on his forehead? So the pasuk says al metzchay, right? For Rabbi Yehuda l'kvaya le'makam, like it's a Rabbi Yehuda who needs metzchay to tell you that it has to be on his forehead. How does he know? So nafkalei me al metzchay, no, because it says in the pasuk on his forehead, so that tells you where it's supposed to go. Reb Shimon nami typically me al metzchay. So why doesn't Reb Shimon also learn it out from al metzchay? Enochanami, that's true. Ela al metzchay v'nasa mayav. At least if that's the case, then what does he do with the pasuk metzchay v'nasa? Amalach roi lametzach meratza she'ena roi lametzach ena meratza. If the tzitz is roy for his forehead, then it's going to work. But if it doesn't, then it's not going to work. Lafuke nishpar hatzitz the leimeratza. That comes to exclude a nishpar. If the tzitz gets broken, that a broken tzitz, we said everybody agrees doesn't work. Well, Rabbi Yehuda nishpar tzitz minale. How does Rabbi Yehuda know that a broken tzitz doesn't work? Nafkalei metzach mitzchay, because it says mitzchay twice. So therefore, that tells us two things: one, that it goes on his forehead, and two, that it has to fit on his forehead and can't be broken. Okay, we could stop here. I'll thank everybody for coming on a little early, and have yourselves a good night. Yeah.
If they're worried about on Yom Kippur about another wife or if he's going to die, whatever, why don't they have two tzitzis? Why don't they have one always in the closet?
You don't wear one on Yom Kippur.
No, why didn't they make a second sitz and always had it in the closet? So they never have a problem if it breaks. There's always one in the closet. There's always a
A
sitz.
backup.
Because
Backup
then Dr.
sits,
Zakharowicz
I mean,
is
why
going
did
to
they make
call
a
it
backup?
Tzitz.
Why did they make a backup Tzitz? I don't know. I don't know, Taka. Why not? No, because
I think they were backup.
It has to be the one
Who
that's in
says they
action.
wasn't? Who says they wasn't?
No, I don't think you can't be that you have a bunch of Tzitzes hanging out. It has to be the one that the Kohen's actively using. That's what I think.
All right.
There were different sets of Shemona Begadim. For the Hilchei Milchama, they made one also, a separate set.
Right. I know they had a separate set, but it can't be that the backup was working as the.
No, the backup can't be working if the regular one is working. The backup's just there as a backup.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Thank you
I
very
think,
much.
but who knows?
Have a
Who
good
knows?
night.
We gotta wait 5 years till Kachim, and we'll find out. As the Shem.
Oh, we gotta wait this week. This week we'll find out.
Somebody mentioned my name.
Away.
This week.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. All right. Fine. Good enough, everybody. Thank you.
Good enough. Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Did somebody mention my name?
Yes, I mentioned your name, Doc. If you have
Yeah.
2 tzitzes, then you have tzitzes.
Okay.
Nothing.
Very good.
I figured you would say tzitzes.
Okay.
It's not big.
Very
It's
good.
not a
Yeah.
tzitz anymore.
Okay. When do you want to have your CAT scan?
I'm trying, Doc. I'm trying, Doc. I'm trying.
You want an EEG or a CAT scan tomorrow?
Yeah, exactly. I'll have another drink. How's that?
Have some weed instead. It's now legal.
Anyhow, all right. Now it's legal. Absolutely.
And that means it must be safe. if
All
it's
right.
legal.
Have a good night. Yeah, right. Like the vaccines, no?